What is up, beautiful people? Kirby Hasseman here, trying to deliver you just a little bit more marketing joy today. So, what I'm going to be talking about today is the 7 mistakes I see organizations and people making when they purchase branded merch. And I'm hopefully going to help you stop making some of these mistakes, or at least alleviate some of them as well. So if you are enjoying these videos, please feel free to subscribe here or wherever you're getting this. And hey, if you're enjoying them, please feel free to share them as well. So let's dive right into the 7 mistakes I see organizations, brands, entrepreneurs, marketers make when they purchase branded merchandise. So let's jump in. There are 7 of them. Let's dive into them now. So number 1, they don't identify their perfect customer. They don't identify the who. I meet with organizations all the time, and they'll say, hey, I want a specific item. This is how much I want to spend. This is the event it's going to be. And here's the theme. And those are all really important. I think those are good things to know. But my next question is always, who's it for? Who is it for, and what do you want them to feel? And the fact of the matter is, you can't really identify what you want them to feel until you know who it's for. What emotions are you trying to elicit? What are you trying to get them to do? What action do you want them to take? And all of that is predicated on who it's for. So one of the mistakes I see organizations making is they just don't spend enough time, and that's not that much time, on who it's for. So that's the number 1 mistake I see people making, is they don't identify that perfect customer. Number 2, they don't give themselves time. One of my favorite sayings in the branded merch space is that you can get things right, you can get them fast, and you can get them cheap. You get to pick 2 out of 3. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times where great distributors from all over the country can pull a miracle for you. They can pull a rabbit out of their hat, and they can get something done where you do get all 3. But that's not the norm. And to be honest with you, it's not how you want to build your brand and you want to build your business. So when you are thinking about that specific and perfect item, give yourself time. And it's not just because, on the website it says that there's a 5-day turn time. It doesn't mean it's going to take 5 days to get the order done, because you still have to get art and you want to get proofs, and that's got to be shipped to you. So build in just a little bit of time. Now, again, I totally understand that there are things that come up occasionally at the last minute. You forget, I get it, but that shouldn't be your mode of operandus, right? Like, you should be, when Christmas is every year, when that trade show is every year. So spend a little time. You'll be able to get better merch. You'll be able to get better pricing. And quite frankly, you'll be a lot less stressed in the meantime as well. So that next mistake I see people make is they just don't give themselves time. Mistake number 3 is they don't set a budget, and then they're not willing to communicate it. So again, I think some of these sound like they're obvious, but you'd be surprised. So, you get a request and you say, okay, well, I want to do these handouts. Well, how much? What's your budget? Well, I don't know. How many people are going to be there? I don't know. Well, in some times, I totally understand that there are times where that's true. But if you want a partner to work with you and really actually help you do the thing you want to do, you need to be willing to do the work and figure out what your budget is. Even if it's like, hey, it's this ish, right? It's $1,000, it's $2,500, it's $50,000, whatever it is, ish. This is the place to start, whether that's price per person or total budget. I actually recommend total budget. So then, your partner can actually work with you on shipping and just making sure that the bill is going to be what you think the bill is going to be. And then the second side of that is you have to be willing to communicate it. It's fascinating to me how often clients want to keep that close to the vest. It feels like they're trying to keep a secret, and that's not helping them, and it's not helping us help them. So have a budget and be willing to communicate it. That's number 3. Number 4, they do not have good vector art. It's weird to me that this is still a thing in 2023. But when you are doing any kind of branded merch, whatever you're going to put on it is a really important piece of it. So be willing to spend the time and a couple extra bucks to just make sure that art is well created. And if not, be willing, if you're only giving a concept, that's fine. But you need to be willing to pay the time for the person who's actually going to create it for you. Don't go cheap there. That's the whole point of the exercise, right? If you're going to do a t-shirt and it's a nice soft t-shirt, but the design is crap, well, then nobody's going to want to wear your t-shirt. So make sure that you have a good concept, good art, and it's clean art so it can be reproduced well. And that's a mistake I see all the time. Number 5, they don't request a proof, and this is what happens most of the time, they don't actually look at it. Like, so if you are doing branded merch and you get a proof, it's funny to me. And by the way, I've been guilty of it too, is that you look at it and you're like, yeah, 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 that's pretty good. And you move on with your life because you're trying to check all the boxes off on your to-do list. And I totally get that. But then when you don't spend the time to make sure everything is spelled properly, or more importantly, the one I see a lot is like, hey, the colors aren't exactly where I want them to be. Or, hey, it's not in the placement on the item exactly as I want it to be. Man, that is worth 3 to 5 minutes of your time. If you request a proof, and I'll tell you right now, we pretty much request a proof on every single order, whether the client does or not, because I think we want to look at it. But ultimately, the client is in charge of this. So if you request a proof and then you don't look at it, you don't really have a lot of reason to complain when it isn't exactly what you want. So you want to request a proof and actually look at it and make sure it's exactly right. Number 6 mistake that I see organizations, entrepreneurs, and marketers make is they don't actually think about the distribution of the product. If you get it to your office and then you do nothing with it, it is a pretty it's not worth anything, right? Those pens that are sitting under your desk have cost you a lot of money because you didn't actually hand them out. Think about how it's going to be distributed. Are you going to ship it? Are you going to hand deliver it? Are you going to ask them to come to the store? And then the caveat to that is then what's the packaging look like? That's a piece that is often ignored as well. And that's part of that distribution piece, is if you want something to be well received, the way it is presented all matters. And that's the packaging as well. So if you're thinking through the entire project, there's costs associated with that distribution. And then also it goes back to that perfect customer and what do you want them to feel? Is it just going to be in a chintzy plastic bag, or are you going to put a little bit of investment into the way it's presented? So the number 6 mistake is they don't consider distribution. And the final mistake I see, and this is one that is kind of a new one that has evolved, and I'm actually excited about it in the industry. The mistake is they don't have a theme or a message tied to their campaign of branded merch. Look, if you are not Harley Davidson, and if you're not one of those big brands, and you're not giving these to your family, not everybody's going to want to wear just your logo on their chest, on the t-shirt, on the water bottle. Some folks will, and that's awesome, right? And it's one of the ways you build a brand. But one of the ways that you can really elevate your merch, one of the ways that you can get people to use it on a regular basis, is to tie it to a message that resonates with that perfect audience and also ties and is congruent with your brand. When you do that, then tie your brand, underneath it, on the back side of it. And honestly, this is one of the things that we do at Hasseman Marketing. This is something where we talk about dream big, work hard, and then our logo is actually on the back yoke. We've spent time thinking about this is a shirt that people are going to want to wear. And oh, by the way, we've tied our brand to it. And I think that's one of the ways that you can really elevate the merch that you're doing and get people to not only use it, but use it on a regular basis. So those are the 7 mistakes I see organizations making and things that I'd love for you to avoid. So number first, that's good. Number 1, they don't identify that perfect customer. Number 2, they don't give themselves time. Give yourself time. Number 3, they don't set a budget and they're not willing to communicate it. Number 4, they don't have good vector art. That is something that you should have. And if not, be willing to invest in your distributor partner going ahead and investing in that for you. It will just save you time and money on the long run. They don't request a proof, and then often they don't look at it. They don't think about that distribution and the distribution cost and the packaging. And then finally, they don't have a theme or the message that they tie to the entire campaign to. So avoid those mistakes, and I think you'll have a campaign that will actually bring you the results you're looking to and help you build your brand. I hope this has provided you value, and if so, please feel free to subscribe, and I will keep them coming. We'll see you next time.